Manila Press presents The Children of Lingfield House, written by Titti Marrone and translated from the Italian by Stella Brooke Young, and read by Sophie Roberts. Chapter 1. The Little Boy That Never Came. A whisper of a voice danced through Alice's mind, unfolding like a piece of music or a dream while she went about making preparations for the children's arrival that evening. As if she were in a trance, the first thing Alice did was place her brother's silver cup just inside the doorway of the big country house, Lingfield. She filled it with milk. "Why is this cup here? Do you want us to trip over it?" Manna, her most trusted assistant, asked with a laugh. "Move it to the windowsill then," said Alice, "and leave it there. I know it's almost Hanukkah, but I want to welcome everyone with a Jewish Easter greeting." "And why is it full of milk? Shouldn't it be filled with wine, if it's to welcome the prophet Elijah and the wanderers with no name?" Manna probed. "I'm imagining one of the wanderers as a child," Alice said, staring out of the window at the thick mist as it dissolved in the late autumn rain. What she didn't tell Manna was that she had felt a presence the night before, a shadow with a blurry outline, an otherworldly little boy demanding her attention. He had inspired her to welcome the children with the silver cup, a ritual normally reserved for visiting wanderers. Alice's dream was fading now, and no matter how much she tried, she couldn't see his face, she could only hear his voice. The cup of milk was for him, even if he'd told her that he wouldn't come. "I will never come to you." The little boy's voice conjured up an icy night, the night they had torn him from sleep and forced him out of his grandmother's house with his mum, grandparents, uncles and little cousins. The youngest had chicken pox, but the men who took them away at gunpoint didn't care about the girl's fever, that the 3 cousins were only children. They forced the whole family into a lorry, into a prison cell, and then a foul-smelling train on which they were confined for 4 days. The train journey felt as though it would go on forever. Then came the order to get off. They would later curse the moment they obeyed this instruction. In Alice's dream, the little boy's voice was insistent. "Auschwitz, this is where they took us." And then the name of another place. "Windermere, the place I never reached." Alice knew the English Lake District well. It was 400 kilometres from London, home to the first refuge for the young Jewish orphans returning from the concentration camps. She had arrived there 4 months ago with a group of fellow psychotherapists, teachers and social workers to welcome these children. And the little boy's voice in her dream had brought to mind that day in Carlisle when the orphans had emerged from the RAF Sterling bomber from Prague. She saw it all again, this time through the eyes of the missing boy. "They were packed together on the aeroplane, clutching one another on cold, hard wooden benches, squashed like peas in a pod for 15 hours. When they landed, nobody wanted to leave the shelter of the plane. I wasn't there with them anymore, but I could still feel their fear. The man who had brought them there told them to get off, but they didn't move. They didn't trust him. Other journeys, other arrivals were running through their minds. None of them could forget what they had been through." As she watched the rain, Alice remembered that Oscar Friedman, a psychotherapist like her and a key member of the Windermere Refuge, had boarded the plane himself to help the children off. He had seen a slightly older girl huddled against the window and had approached her, putting an arm around her shoulders. "Don't you want to come down with the others? We're going to a warm house to eat some hearty soup. I'm Oscar. What's your name?" he had gently prodded. At that moment, the girl, instead of answering Oscar with words, had pulled up her sleeve and silently showed him the numbers stamped onto the bare skin of her arm. Then she
Sample complete. Ready to continue?